We'll go ahead and start the agenda for the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, to be held on Tuesday, February 25th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers. Our invocation tonight will be from our Mayor Pro Tem, Lisa Parsons. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, we just thank you for this day and the many blessings you've given us, Lord. And once again, we thank you for this beautiful city that you've given us to live in. And be with each one of us as a council as we look through the stuff on the agenda, Lord, that we will think of you before the decisions we make. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilman Boyer,
Present.
Councilwoman Horton,
Here.
Councilman Smith,
Here.
Councilman Massingham,
Here.
Councilman DePew,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Parson,
Here.
Mayor Cornman.
Here.
We have 7 present.
Item 5, disclosure of interest. Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with any matter discussed at a previous meeting. Seeing none, item 6, citizens input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. Seeing none, item 7, our consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda are approved by single action of the City Council. If any council member would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and considered separately, he or she may request to do so.
Mr. Mayor, we all received in our packet the items listed below on the agenda. So with that being said, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 are workshop items for discussion. A, the City Council will consider entering into an agreement for professional engineering services between the City of Poplar Bluff and S.H. Smith & Company, Inc., relative to a Delta Regional Authority grant for improvements to Butson Drive. City Manager Nodell to present.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This agreement will secure engineering services for the Delta Regional Authority Butson Drive project, the ordinance for which is on the agenda for approval at this meeting. Costs outlined in that agreement are $12,500 for surveying, $116,500 for final design, and $87,500 for construction phase services, for a total of $216,600.
I make a motion to move to the voting session to be held March the 3rd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, the City Council will consider a request from the Poplar Bluff Police Department to destroy antiquated records. Manager Nodell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This request is similar to the request that the council had acted upon, for records here at the Black River Coliseum. The police department is requesting to destroy antiquated records previously retained, dated 2019 or prior, which qualify for destruction in accordance with the record retention schedule. The destruction will be conducted in concert with the street department.
I make a motion to move to the voting session to be held March the 3rd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, the City Council will consider an addendum to the administrative services between the City of Poplar Bluff and Ozark Foothills Regional Planning Commission relative to the ARPA Community Revitalization Grant for the demolition of the old City Hall complex. Manager Nodell.
Yes, this addendum adds the Missouri ARPA Community Revitalization Grant to the contingency funding provision of that agreement. It adds a list of ARPA specification requirements to meet the provisions of the state's grant agreement with the Federal Treasury Department. At the time of the original contract, there were no specific requirements, and so the changes include minor wording changes to paragraph 6, the compensation and method of payment that ultimately do not change the terms of this agreement. Also included is a specific list of ARPA requirements. This is simply something that is required to be attached to the agreement, and again, does not change the terms at all.
Make a motion to move this to the March 3rd voting session.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, the City Council will consider a petition for the annexation of right-of-way property into the city limits located on Highway 67 North and owned by the Missouri Department of Transportation. Manager Nodell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This petition is for voluntary annexation of MoDOT right-of-way, which would provide contiguity for an annexation request by the Motel 6 property north of the city. This consideration for the that's before the council does not guarantee or assure future annexation of that property or any additional properties.
I got a question. On that, who's the petitioner on that? Is that Motel 6?
No, the petitioner on this is
MoDOT?
Yes.
And then what the purpose of it is to clear a right-of-way for future annexation? Is that what the deal is?
Yeah, I believe there will be a request forthcoming from that Motel 6 property, or we have been led to believe that that would be the case.
Okay,
But that is not.
That's a totally separate.
That is not the item that's
Okay.
before the council at this time.
I make a motion this be held, move to the voting session to be held March the 3rd.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, the City Council will consider an application received for the city representative vacancy on the Plumbing Board. Manager Nodell.
Yes, the application and proposed appointment is for Mr. Jay Warren to fill a city representative vacancy on the Plumbing Board. Mr. Warren is a 53-year resident of the city, is employed by the Municipal Utilities Water Department, and he also currently serves on the HVAC and Refrigeration Board for the city.
Make a motion to move this to tonight's voting session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, the City Council will consider entering into a revised aviation project consultant agreement with Olson, Inc. for engineering services for a hangar construction project at the Poplar Bluff Regional Business Airport. Airport Manager Gary Pride to present. Is Gary here? Yeah, there he is.
Good evening, members of the council. I know you didn't expect to see me.
Thought we got rid of him. Thank you for
I'm
hanging
glad
in.
to see you.
Just can't get rid of you, can
I'm
we?
going through that proverbial, like the movie, the Groundhog Day. And like Bill Murray, I'm getting really, really efficient at that last day. So we'll see. This has been kind of a project that's been going on for 2 years, much longer than what I should have. It's not our fault.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, Gary, can you turn that mic on? I don't know if it's on or not.
Pull the button
It's
up.
up. Yeah, yeah, I think so.
That it?
Yep.
Not our fault. It rests with the state of Missouri. It's where the hangup has been. All of those have finally been resolved. I've presented here before about this hangar construction project, and not long ago, you remember, it was the design phase. Things are moving very fast now. We're actually moving into a construction phase now. And our aviation engineering company, which is listed in this, is who we will be working with in that construction phase to further this project. And this is just the superfluous paperwork in order to make that happen.
So I got a question.
Mhm.
So this agreement is with who? Is it with between Olson and the city, or between Olson and some other group, or how does it work?
This agreement, that there'll be a different one in a minute, but this one is just that we are agreeing in the terms and conditions that they are going to represent us in this project to make sure that all of the I's are dotted, T's crossed, any state and federal regulations that need to be adhered to, they're going to adhere to those, make sure the project does that. And
Right,
things like
I looked at that and I thought, well, that's a lot of money for, planning for a hangar. But then when I saw the complexity and all this stuff that they have to go through to do that, I thought, that's going to take somebody that knows what they're doing to do that. So
Yep.
who's paying for that?
the funds are through the federal government. Missouri's a block state grant. So The federal government gives the money to the state of Missouri, and then it's delegated into certain projects. We applied for these grant opportunities and were successful in our bid for those. So ultimately, the federal government is who's paying for it, but there is a small share in some of these funds. It's actually coming from like 6 different pools of money, some of which is 100%, some is 95%, some is 90%. So the city does have a little skin in the game, but
think
we've been
that's a-
preparing for this for 2 years.
Yeah, it's a relatively small amount.
Yeah.
And, then working kind,
I'm sorry.
working kind,
Not necessarily.
maybe cash. So when it comes to the construction phase, will it be a whole nother proposal then, or is this rolled into the
Well,
construction phase?
we are in that construction phase now, and the next time I come up here, that's what that'll be about, which is 3 minutes from now.
Next item.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I make a motion, move this to the voting session to be held March the 3rd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item G, the City Council will consider entering into a state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission relative to project number 25-075A-1 for hangar construction at the Poplar Bluff Regional Business Airport. Mr. Pride?
Remember when we talked about this 2 or 3 months ago? It was a 3-phase project. We're now entering the phase 2, which is a construction phase. And it includes infrastructure at the airport with taxiways, access ramps, pads that the hangars are going to sit on, things like that. The grant is for up to $1.2 million. We can spend up to that much if we need to.
If that's granted, what's the timeline on it?
It's the money is available immediately.
Wow. Okay.
Matter of fact, they're wanting to start next week. They wanted to start this week, but this meeting got canceled. So they're actually waiting for this approval to begin construction.
I make a motion, move this to the voting session to be held March the 3rd.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, the City Council will consider a request from the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve a conditional use permit to construct a new 64 by 54 storage facility located at 411 West Pine. The applicant is United Gospel Rescue Mission. Mr. Nodell?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know, most people are familiar with the good work that the United Gospel Rescue Mission does. Our staff recommends approval of a conditional use permit for this project to remain in effort as long as the property remains owned by the United Gospel Rescue Mission, and that it is built to current code, has a stormwater plan, and the final designs are tailored to complement its location along a major downtown thoroughfare. This can be achieved through features such as lighting, windows, the exterior facade, landscaping, etc. The owner must submit said aesthetic enhancement to the city for approval prior to the issuance of the building permit, and any deferred improvements must be completed within 180 days of issuance of the permit. We've had conversations with the rescue mission, and we understand that efforts are underway to deliver those aesthetic improvements as have been discussed.
I make a motion to move this to the
Could I-
voting
could I
session.
say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
3rd.
Yeah,
You want to get a comment?
I'm really happy that they're doing this project. I think it's a great project. It's gonna help out the whole corridor right there by that property. And I know there was some confusion or lack of direction from the city to the rescue mission early on when they first started this, and then they really didn't have any rules to go by because there are no specific rules about the streetscapes on Pine Street, and there's a sign ordinance, there's a few things that might apply. I know they have to get a conditional use permit, to get a building permit, things, then planning and zoning and going on through. And I know they haven't been given very good direction, and I feel the city has somewhat failed them to give them enough information to bring a good package to us. And I'd like to see proponents for projects in the future be told what they need to bring forward, because I know it's delaying their project, and I'd like to see it done. And I think that they're going to come up with something that's really, really nice, for the city. And so, anyway, I just think it's not their fault that we're in this situation, that this thing is being delayed. And I think they could have sailed right through if they'd been given better direction. And that, because the city council, I feel, gets several, we've had several projects recently that have been given to us with minimal information. And if we're asked to make a decision on this stuff, we need to have all the pros and the cons and the background information on these things, because if we're giving this stuff cold turkey, it's really difficult to come up with a very thoughtful decision on this stuff. And so I'm empathetic towards their position here, and I hope we can get something together, and I think it's going to come together pretty quick here, because Reverend Kirk is wanting to make something really nice there, that the city can be proud of and that the Gospel Mission can be proud of. So we'll see what they come up with.
I'm certainly happy to work with the planning department in terms of best practices moving forward on those projects.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You had a motion?
I had a motion.
Go ahead and say, I don't think you got through.
I'll make a motion, we move that to the voting session to be held March the 3rd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, action required items. AA Bill number 8612, the City Council will take action on an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a grant award agreement with the Delta Regional Authority relative to improvements to Butson Drive.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8612.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a grant award agreement between the City of Poplar Bluff and the Delta Regional Authority for improvements to the Butson Drive in Poplar Bluff.
Make a motion for second reading.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a grant award agreement between the City of Poplar Bluff and the Delta Regional Authority for improvements to Butson Drive in Poplar Bluff.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8612.
Seconded.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Massingham,
Yes.
Councilman DePew,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Parson,
Yes.
Mayor Cornman.
Yes.
You have 7 yes votes.
AA Bill number 8612 has been adopted. BB Bill number 8613, the City Council will take action on an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Ozark Foothills Regional Planning Commission for grant administrative services relative to the Delta Regional Authority grant for improvements to Butson Drive.
Make a motion for first reading of Bill 8613. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council?
An ordinance selecting Ozark Foothills Regional Planning Commission for grant administration services for the Delta Regional Authority grant project relative to improvements to Butson Drive and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for said services.
Motion for second reading of bill number 8613.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council?
An ordinance selecting Ozark Foothills Regional Planning Commission for grant administration services for the Delta Regional Authority grant project relative to improvements to Butson Drive and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for said services.
Make a motion for adoption.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Massingham,
Yes.
Councilman DePew,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Parson,
Yes.
Mayor Cornman.
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Bill number 8613 has been adopted. CC Bill number 8614, the City Council will take action on an ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property to Copper Top Foot and Ankle Clinic.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8614.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance accepting a bid for the sale of real estate located on Whiteley Drive in Poplar Bluff and owned by the city of Poplar Bluff to the Copper Top Foot and Ankle Clinic.
Motion for second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance accepting a bid for the sale of real estate located on Whiteley Drive in Poplar Bluff and owned by the city of Poplar Bluff to the Copper Top Foot and Ankle Clinic.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8614.
Second it.
Any questions or discussion?
Discussion.
Go ahead.
As I stated during the last, workshop session on this item, we don't really know the actual value of this 1 acre plus parcel. The requester provided appraisal is based on a presumption that this portion of the parcel is separate and standalone parcel that's not suitable for any other purpose. I don't think this is true. If the city truly does not have any intention of utilizing this parcel, I think it should be advertised as a whole and sold in its entirety so the city is not left with a smaller, less valuable parcel that may be more difficult to sell in the future and will require future ongoing maintenance expenses. So that's all I've got on that.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Massingham,
Yes.
Councilman DePew,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer,
No.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Parson,
Yes.
Mayor Cornman.
Yes.
We have 6 yes votes.
Bill number 8614 has been adopted. DD Resolution 2050, the City Council will take action on a resolution making an appointment to the Plumbing Board.
Motion for first reading, motion for reading of resolution 2050.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Counselor?
A resolution of the city of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, making an appointment to the Plumbing Board of the city of Poplar Bluff.
Make a motion for adoption. Second it.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, Clerk Phelps.
Councilman Massingham,
Yes.
Councilman DePew,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Parson,
Yes.
Mayor Cornman.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Resolution number 2050 has been adopted. Item 10, our city manager's report. Manager Nodell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, we did have a round of winter weather last week, and I believe, and based on a great deal of community feedback, that our street department did an exceptional job of removing snow, making streets and thoroughfares passable, and ultimately clear in a relatively rapid period of time. You heard earlier tonight from our airport director, and our airport was operational at a very early hour, coming off of that weather, which allowed for a medical evacuation flight to take place that was very much needed. And so our airport team working well in concert with the street department to make that happen. So certainly weather inconvenienced us that we wouldn't be here tonight otherwise, but certainly very satisfied with that effort. Also very satisfied that early last week we reached an agreement with MoDOT that received a considerable amount of news coverage, in which case they are going to resurface Pine Street here in the city, Business 60 corridor, but they are not going to restripe that to a road diet. And we were able to come into an understanding and working with the police chief and the police department to work on a plan to enhance traffic enforcement, to improve safety in that corridor without reducing the number of lanes. And I want to give special credit to our partners at the Butler County Commission. They went on record on this project very early on, and was very fortunate to work with Presiding Commissioner Lampy and his leadership on this project. Grateful to them, as well as members of the community that made their voices heard, because when we come together, we're able to accomplish our citizens' wishes. So we're very, very happy about that, and we're happy to be able to do that in a way that will continue our very positive working relationship with MoDOT on larger projects moving forward for the benefit of the city and the entire community as well. Thank you.
One quick question. Do we have any news on the crosswalk on Pine Street?
That is, I'll circle back with you offline, but that is in the plans to be able to do. We understand that pedestrians are an issue in that thoroughfare, and we're hopeful that that crosswalk will mitigate, but that is part of our plan. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you for giving credit to the street department. I witnessed that firsthand, that they did a great job on removing the snow, and I wasn't aware of the issue that was at the airport. And thank you for being right on that. That was excellent. I thought the city employees were right on top of it, and I was really proud of them.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other comments? All right, with that being said, if there's no further business to come before the council, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.